Hello to you all. This is RHTVLive. These images you see are from Sri Lanka. Ja mensen, we houden alles in de gaten. We hebben Sri Lanka in beeld bij het presidentiële paleis. Ja mensen, er gebeurt weer heel veel in de wereld. Dus, en natuurlijk doen we dit in 2 talen. We're doing this in 2 languages, so Dutch and English, for the international audience also watching. So that was Sri Lanka, and here you have Sri Lanka, and we are streaming from Maastricht, which is in the south of the Netherlands. There you go, Maastricht. So that's where we're streaming from, and you know, every once in a while, history repeats itself, because there was, you know, the Great Roman Fire. Who remember that? Probably no one. But there was a fire in Rome. Ja, mensen. Er was een brand in Rome. Geschiedenis herhaalt zich, hè. Kijk, hier. The Great Fire of Rome. 64 AD. En ja, nu net 3 uur geleden. Of 4 uur. Even kijken wat dit is. Er is een explosie zo te zien. Ik weet niet of dat verband heeft met elkaar. Maar Rome staat weer in brand. Ja. We gaan even hier naar kijken. Rome burns. Oh. Dan moet je dat weer allemaal accepteren. Daar heb ik geen zin in. We gaan gewoon naar video's toe. Zo. En dan gaan we kijken of we het hier ergens kunnen vinden. Kijk wat dit is. Schijnbaar een explosie. Grote brand. Rome is on fire again, as we can see. So history is repeating itself. You see, and yeah, I wonder what's on fire. Huh? So that's happening in Italy. Ja, mensen, dat gebeurt in Italië. En ja, we gaan nog even naar andere delen van de wereld kijken. Thousands of homes in Lebanon's Tripoli at risk of, even kijken, wat staat er nog? Collapse. Ja, we gaan even hier naar kijken. Dit is dus Libanon. This is Lebanon. And thousands of homes are about to collapse. So we're going to put Lebanon on the map, of course. So we know where we are. Lebanon. There you go. The country of Lebanon. There you have it. It's basically a fallen state after the very big explosion in Beirut. You guys remember that? We'll show you some footage. Explosion. Beirut, there you go. They're listening in on us. A very big blast, massive, and had a lot of casualties. Yeah, Dit mogen we niet vergeten, mensen. De grote ontploffing in Beirut. Viewer discretion is advised.
Deadly port explosion in sources have told the Guardian newspaper that prior to the blast, dozens of bags of fireworks were being stored in the same warehouse as that stockpile of ammonium nitrate, which acts as an accelerant in a fire. In video from the day of the blast, you can see white flashes, what appear to be fireworks, going off before the massive explosion. A former port worker told the Guardian newspaper he warned for years.
You see that? You see that? We are not supposed to forget this. So we're talking about Lebanon right now, right? And there you have it, Lebanon. And 1,000 homes are about to collapse. So we're going to take a look at this here.
In just a few moments, Khaled Diko lost everything. The three-story building where his family used to live collapsed. The tragedy in Lebanon's second largest city, Tripoli, has scarred his 6-year-old son, Mustafa. His younger sister, Jumana, died under the rubble.
In our country, the government doesn't care about us. We knew the building.
We are sorry, Khaled. We are sorry for your loss.
Needed repair, but we couldn't afford to move.
Thousands of families are living in danger because of the poor state of buildings. Temporary fixes to reinforce the foundations are not permanent solutions. 4 families live in this rundown building.
Look at these stairs. They are about to collapse. It will cost us $3,000 for repairs. We don't have $4 in our pockets.
Well, first of all, don't make clay houses, right? Because, yeah, it's not really stable. Ja, mensen, dat gebeurt allemaal. De mensen moeten zelf gaan betalen voor hun fundering en zoiets allemaal. Je ziet de toestand van de woning. Volgens mij is dat niet de voorgeschreven regel hier in Nederland om zo'n woning te hebben. Ja, een beetje gevaarlijk, zou men hier in Nederland zeggen. Ja, maar dit is de leefomstandigheden voor heel veel mensen in Lebanon. These are the living circumstances for a lot of people in Lebanon.
Living in danger because of the poor state of buildings. Temporary fixes to reinforce the foundations are not permanent solutions. 4 families live in this rundown building.
Look at these stairs. They are about to collapse. It will cost us $3,000 for repairs. We don't have $4 in our pockets.
Local authorities estimate up to 10,000 housing units are at risk of collapse. They say there is only so much they can do without the central government addressing the economic collapse that's forced much of the population into poverty.
There's a ticking bomb in Tripoli.
There you are, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, you have no money, huh? Yeah, the state gives you no money. Yeah, then you have a big problem. You got like housing that's collapsing and stuff like that. It's, oh my God, what a world. Wat een wereld leef ik in. Wat een wereld. Ja. Maar hij zit daar in zijn mooie kantoortje. En ja, ik denk niet dat er voor hem instortingsgevaar is. Of zoiets. Dat is dan de machtspositie die je hebt. En ja, zelf heeft hij geen geld. En dan kan hij niet geld uitgeven als er geen geld is. Ja. Je hebt daar te maken met hyperinflatie. Het geld wat er is niet veel waard. Ja. Dus het geld wat er is in omloop komt van andere landen. Ja. Dus, en dat maakt de economie nog instabieler, omdat ze hun eigen munteenheid dan niet meer gebruiken. Dan krijg je een soort van hyperinflatie, hè, zoals in Zimbabwe het geval was. So, the worth of the currency that they have in Lebanon is worth nothing because they use other countries' money, you know? So the value of the currency is worth nothing. And we're talking about hyperinflation. This also happened in Zimbabwe. We're going to take a look at that in a few seconds.
The municipality are doing our job by warning people to evacuate, but the solution is the responsibility of the government.
Any solution requires
You are the government. You are a mayor. Moet je het eens zien. Een burgemeester zegt van ja, de regering moet daarvoor zorgen. Ja, die huizen staan op instorten. Maar ja, goed.
money, and the Lebanese state is nearly bankrupt. But even before the current economic crisis, Tripoli was neglected.
The United Nations says this city, more than any other in Lebanon, is in need of social housing. There has been no development or investment for decades.
Many of the buildings are old and haven't been maintained. Some were damaged during the civil war that ended in 1990 and the political violence in the ensuing years. Others were built illegally with poor quality materials.
How can you blame those who can't afford construction materials or restoration costs? They were already poor and they have become poorer with the collapse of the local currency.
Many here know their buildings aren't safe, but they have nowhere else to go. All they can do is wait for the next tragedy.
And all we can do is show you guys the living conditions in some countries. Ja. We hebben het goed hier in Nederland. Hè. Ja. Er gebeurt af en toe wel eens een foutje. Hè. Een balkon dat instort, zoals hier in Maastricht ooit gebeurde. Maar het zijn kleine foutjes. Hè. Als je nou kijkt naar, nogmaals, naar dit beeld hier zo. Dat kan toch niet? Dat kan toch niet? These are bad living conditions, you know? These people have to live in squalor. And all the people in power, they drive around in their Porsches and whatever else. You know, it's not fair. It's just not fair, is it? Tell me why the U.S. government, for example, gives up, you know, billions of dollars to Afghanistan to reconstruct, even though the money went to the Taliban, you know, but they give millions of dollars to that country and another country, Lebanon, they just forget, you know, it's just like, not our concern. Very sad to see. We all share this planet, and they say every life is worth something. So the polls are open in Japan, and there are local elections. But we all know that former Prime Minister Abe was shot, and he died, and the elections are overshadowed by the death of Shinzo Abe.
It's worthwhile.
There may be more people who will vote for the Liberal Democratic Party. The assassination was a shocking incident, so I think people have many thoughts, but I hope they can vote based on their own decision.
A surge of support will help Prime Minister Fumio Kishida strengthen his grip on power.
Generally speaking, his polls are quite high, but one thing which is dogging him is the rising inflation and cost of living, as it is in many nations of the world. If the results tonight are at or above expectations, then I think we can definitely say that Kishi's position will be secured for quite some time going forward.
It may even see the LDP and its junior coalition partner, Komeito, controlling 2/3 of parliament, which would...
Now, the LDP, the Liberal Democratic Party, has been in power for quite a long while, right? And it's basically a two-system party. We have a left wing and a right wing. So within the LDP, right? So dat is hoe het eraan toe gaat. Een grote machtsspectrum, overname, de LDP, de Liberale Democratische Partij. Die heeft zowel een linkerflank als een rechterflank. En daarmee opereren zij. Ja, en zo behouden zij hun macht. This is how they keep power, right? And above them, you have the Yakuza.
would allow them to take the first steps in amending the constitution. One of Abe's goals had been to revise the country's pacifist constitution, which forbids Japan's offensive military capabilities. Meanwhile, the suspect in the murder of Abe has been handed over to prosecutors in Nara, where he will likely be detained and questioned before being charged. Police have...
Let's see, Nara, right? Let's put that on the map. Where's Nara? Nara, Japan. There you go. So here you have Nara over here. Nara. And let's zoom out. Let's see. It's near Osaka, which is somewhere in the middle of the country. There you go. And there we have Japan, right? And yeah, I hope that guy will be tried and justified, right? Because killing someone is a bad thing. You shouldn't do that. But if you look at North Korea, for example, that guy, die gast die zichzelf een god waant, the guy that says he's a god, yeah, he kills a lot of people. He doesn't care. If you're outside Pyongyang, then your life is worth nothing. Yeah. Inside Pyongyang, yeah, then you have a future. So that's how that works in North Korea. And there is a very big hotel which is basically empty. Yeah. And it's like a, landmark voor Pyongyang. Ja. We gaan even kijken naar Pyongyang. Het hotel. Pyongyang. Hotel. Pyramid. There you go. So we're going to take a look inside, right? I have no idea who this person is, but exclusive shots inside North Korea's Hotel of Doom. So we're going to take a look inside.
The Ryugyong Hotel, the 105-story hotel, the tallest building in North Korea, the most famous building in North Korea, the Hotel of Doom. Whatever you want to call it, you've probably heard of North Korea's Ryugyong Hotel, which is the massive triangular building in the middle of Pyongyang that's been built for the past 30-odd years and that we are going to talk about today. It's currently in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the tallest unoccupied building. So what is the story of the Ryugyong Hotel, North Korea's so-called Hotel of Doom? Is it still empty? What is it doing there? What's it been doing for the past 30 years? And more importantly, what does it look like inside? Something that very, very few foreigners have seen, but something that we are going to have a look at today.
So there you have the landmark of North Korea, Pyongyang, right? If you live outside of the city, you're worth nothing, basically. And if you live inside the city, you have a future. That's how it works. Brave New World. Yeah, Aldous Huxley. Let's see if we can show some images inside the hotel. There you have an image. Probably empty, no use of it. Just as a landmark. Yeah, that's how it happens in North Korea. Tin pot dictator. Yeah. Kim Jong-un. Yeah. Go away. You're not a god. You're fat. Never mind. I wouldn't want the North Korean army following me. Yeah, Zimbabwe, right? The dollar, Zimbabwe dollar. Okay, let's see how hyperinflation works. Zimbabwe dollar. There you go. So here you have 100 trillion Zimbabwe dollars, right? And basically they're not worth much. So that's how hyperinflation works, right? Dat is hoe hyperinflatie werkt. En ja, in Zimbabwe hebben ze de boeren weggehaald. Ja. Zimbabwe. Daar. We zijn in Afrika nu in één keer. En als je daar de boeren weghaalt, ja, dan ben je toch afhankelijk van andere landen, hè, voor eten en zoiets. Dus, Robert Mugabe, we won't forget you. We won't ever forgive you for what you've done to the country of Zimbabwe. Letting all those farmers flee out of the country, right? So, yeah, that's what happened there, basically. And a drought and no knowledge of how to handle farming equipment and stuff like that. And yeah, no food production. And hyperinflation, you have to buy food from other countries, right? And they have the power to control the product, right? Dus, ja mensen, er gebeurt heel erg veel in de wereld. We gaan ook even kijken. Ja, er valt zoveel te vinden. Hè. Elon Musk, die gaat Twitter toch niet kopen. He's not going to Twitter, Elon Musk. Nope, because Twitter has too many bots. Te veel bots, te veel robots, te veel neppe accounts. Hij heeft dus gevraagd naar neppe accounts. En dat wou ze dus niet geven. Dan heeft hij zelf een onderzoek gedaan. En dan kwam hij achter dat heel veel accounts nep waren. Dus zegt hij van, nou, ik ga het niet kopen hoor. Nee, laten we dat maar niet gaan doen. That's how it's that is life. The decisions people make. Russia vetoes UN resolution extending cross-border aid. Let's see what this is.
In the mood for compromise.
If someone,
let's see, go to the beginning.
For nutrition, it's for treating severe acute malnutrition of children.
As things stand, this may end up being the last shipment of humanitarian aid, food and medicine from Turkey into northwest Syria.
These are hygiene kits. Kitchen sets have already been loaded.
4.1 million people rely on this lifeline, but it must be authorised by the UN Security Council. And in the council chamber there's deadlock. A resolution to allow the crossing to operate for another 12 months was supported by all members apart from China, which abstained, and Russia, which used its veto. Russia then presented its own rival resolution allowing the crossing to operate for 6 months, but it didn't pass. It was only supported by Russia and China.
This is not a moment to mince words. I have long said that this is a life and death issue, and tragically people will die because of this vote and the country who shamelessly deployed the veto today.
Hey, wait a minute. We're going to take a look at Syria here. Syrië. We weten wat er in Syrië is gebeurd. Syrië werd per proxy aangevallen. Dus legers ondersteund door NATO-regeringen. Ja, waaronder Nederland. Turkije heeft er net zo goed aan meegedaan. Nederland heeft er ook aan meegedaan. We laten dus heel vaak zien aan de mensen dat Nederland de jihadisten steunde. Zo. Kijk hier. The Dutch were supporting the jihadi rebels during the overthrow, put it that way, even though he's not overthrown, of Assad. And we supported Debat al-Shamia, which, according to our own Justice Department, it's a criminal organization with a terroristic viewpoint. Between May 2015 and 2018, the Netherlands supported 22 armed groups in Syria. Gematigde groepen. They're not rebels, but they are rebels, those kind of people. Yeah. And they did not get weapons, but they did get for 25 million, some over 25 million, on cars, 313 in total, food, medication, communication devices, tents, uniforms, and trainings. So this is what the Dutch government gave the jihadis. The Dutch government gave more to the jihadis than to the elder civilians in the Netherlands. Right? This is very, very sad. And now we are supporting Nazis in Ukraine. The Dutch government covered this up for a couple of years until there were like Wopke, which are, hoe zeg je dat in Engels? Nou ja. They requested some information and they got information and then they found out that the Dutch government was supporting the jihadis. So a FOIA request, that's what they did. Freedom of Information Act, which is WOP-verzoek. Yeah. So that's what happened basically. And now Russia vetoes something, and the United States, which is still in Syria, right? They're still in Syria at the oil fields right over there in the east of Syria, northeast. There, here you have the oil-rich part of the country, and they're talking about this part, right? Northwest. So they're talking, ze hebben het hier over mensen. En ja, zover we het weten, is er nogal een dispuut in Syrië en in Turkije om dit gebied hier zo. Wacht, gaan we dan even inzoomen. There's a dispute between Turkey and Syria on this part here, this here. Syria says, that's our country, and Turkey says, nope, that's our country. And Turkey is in control of that part. So who knows how this dispute will resolve itself. Even kijken, we hebben alweer een bericht, mensen. We hebben alweer een bericht. Even kijken. Ja, dat komt er ook tussendoor. We have a message. Ja, dat moet ik ook eventjes beantwoorden. Dan... Daar. Oké, ja, dus dat gebied dat zit een beetje in dispuut. Is het nou van Syrië of Turkije of hetzelfde als met Cyprus en andere eilanden. Dus ja, en Egypte, daar hadden we het laatst over. Hè. Nou, we gaan even kijken hoe het in Egypte ook weer is. Let's talk about Egypt, right? Egypt. Let's see, documentary. You always get to see the pharaohs, right? And stuff like that. We just posted something about Egypt. Very, very interesting. Ja, we gaan even kijken naar wat we ook weer gezegd hebben. Ja. Over onze dictator Sisi. The dictator Sisi is in power. Power corrupts, right? Dus de politieke atheïst, ja, ook dat deelt. 1 keer gedeeld. Het zal nog wel vaker gedeeld worden. This is what's happening in the Netherlands. The farmers against a satanic group that wants to take over the soul of the Netherlands. We are fighting back. We are fighting back. Even though there are a lot of people that are fighting in the wrong reasons, but let's not talk about that. Dit is ook mooi, mensen. We gaan even hier naar luisteren. This is Thierry Baudet from the FVD, Forum for Democracy, Forum for Democracy, and he's talking about the Netherlands and how civilization is falling apart.
Als je een grote beschaving te gronden wil richten, dan zou je een lijstje kunnen opstellen van de dingen die je dan moet doen. Massale immigratie bijvoorbeeld, onteigening van de boeren zodat de voedselvoorziening in gevaar komt, energieprijzen onbetaalbaar maken, geschiedenis herschrijven, door homopropaganda en emancipatie, feminisme, abortuspropaganda, gezinnen stuk maken, familiestructuren stuk maken. Moderne kunst en moderne architectuur om de ziel van de mensen te verstoren. Transnationale verbanden zodat je de democratie stuk maakt. Eigenlijk moet je zo ongeveer precies doen wat de mensen van het kartel al decennia doen in onze landen. Het is eigenlijk een perfecte handleiding voor het kapotmaken van een grote beschaving. De grootste beschaving die de wereld ooit gezien heeft. En het doet me elke dag zo ontzettend veel verdriet om te zien dat het gebeurt. Dat het elke dag een beetje verder kapot gemaakt wordt. Dat onze wereld elke dag een beetje verder tegen de grond gewerkt wordt. En je leest erover bij de decadentie van de Romeinen, van Montesquieu. Je leest erover bij Tomasi di Lampedusa, zoals Claudius Klaver net probeerde te citeren. Je leest erover bij Gibbon, bij Spengler. Je ziet het gebeuren, maar het lukt je niet om de gehypnotiseerde meute ervan te doordringen. Het lukt je niet om dat tegen deze mensen te zeggen. Ze gaan maar door met die destructie. Ik doe wat ik kan om het te stoppen. Maar het lukt me waarschijnlijk niet. Het breekt mijn hart.
Nou, mijn hart is ook gebroken. Want we strijden voor Nederland. Ja, en je wordt gewoon uitgelachen. Niet door iedereen. Er zijn heel veel mensen die geven een steuntje in de rug. Maar ja, je wordt wel uitgelachen door een groepje mensen. Die zeggen, die zijn maar wappie, hoor, die zijn maar wappie. Dus, even kijken, dit is ook interessant. Hoe herken je een Romeo? Step west. This is the Romeos, the undercover cops. They're being used. Even kijken, Sri Lanka. Nee, dat hebben we laten zien. Hè. Oh ja, hier hebben we de huichelaar. Die zegt van, ik heb wel iemand uitgekozen hè, waar de boeren mee kunnen praten. Ja, ik heb wel iemand uitgekozen. I already chose someone. Yeah, that made my cabinet. Yeah, and the farmers are going to talk to that guy, you know.
Meneer Rutte, nog even terug naar de heer Remkes. Want u zegt, geef hem een kans, ga nou met hem in gesprek.
Ja.
Maar zoals Wouter de Winter al zei, ze willen niet met hem in gesprek. Waarom blijft het kabinet dan zo halstarrig vasthouden aan de heer Remkes? Er zijn toch genoeg andere mensen die dit ook zouden kunnen doen?
Zeker, maar ik denk dat dit goed komt. Dus,
Ja, maar de boeren hebben al aangegeven dat het niet goed komt. Want er willen al 3 grote boerenorganisaties niet met de heer Remkes om tafel.
So we have someone called Remkes. Dat is een VVD-prominent, Remkes. VVD. Johan Remkes. We have this dinosaur, right? This guy here. And he's going to talk to the farmers, even though he set up our cabinet and stuff like that. He negotiated with political parties to make this cabinet, this new old cabinet that we have, you know? And this dinosaur is going to talk to the farmers. Yeah, right. This guy's behind the nitrogen agenda, you know? It's what the hell? And he's going to talk to the farmers. Yeah, right. And our prime minister is defending that guy.
En dan zeg ik, laten we het nou eens even stap voor stap bekijken. Ik doe dit nu een tijdje, maar ik ga daar verder niks over zeggen. Mijn ervaring in algemene zin is dat uiteindelijk de discussie niet gaat over wie het gesprek leidt, maar over het gesprek.
Ja, maar als het gesprek...
Ja, jij moet je bek houden, Rutte. Je hebt helemaal geen reden om te spreken. Kijk hier. Egypt, that's what we were looking for, right? We have it on the map. There you have it. Egypt. And we have El Sisi in power. Hey, still cut. Still. We have El Sisi in power, right? And El Sisi was a general of Mubarak, and Mubarak was overthrown. And we had the Muslim Brotherhood, which was a terrorist party, and they were political, just like we have Hamas in the West Bank and also in the Gaza Strip, right? We also have Sinn Féin, if you look at Ireland. So Egypt, right? And we're going to take a look at that. For a couple of minutes. It's still cut.
Cosmetic surgery in Cairo. The Egyptian government is out to repair its reputation on human rights. Fall from disgrace. Ex-journalist turned Prime Minister Boris Johnson is basically done at 10 Downing Street. And Chile is working on a new constitution that has some of Augusto Pinochet's favorite news outlets fighting for their corporate lives.
Hello, I'm Richard Gisbert, and you're at The Listening Post, where we don't cover the news, we cover the way the news is covered. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi is kicking off a national dialogue on human rights, which he says is for the sake of the nation. Egypt's economy is a mess, what with the effects of the pandemic and the war in Ukraine. There are shortages of the basics, including bread. And Sisi's got some fences to mend with political opponents, journalists, and human rights workers on how to take the country forward. But is this new national dialogue anything more than window dressing for Western eyes? Egypt is a serial violator of human rights and free speech. Its media sphere is tightly controlled, and a reported 65,000 political prisoners remain behind bars. One of them is Allah Abdel Fattah, a leading voice in the Arab Spring uprising that toppled Hosni Mubarak's government in 2011. He has spent much of the past decade behind bars. His story and the ongoing fight to release him provide a more realistic picture than any national dialogue will of the actual state of play in President el-Sisi's Egypt. Our starting point this week is Cairo.
Allah Abdel Fattah is just one of an estimated 65,000 political prisoners in Egypt. Having spent most of the decade since the Arab Spring behind bars, he is now more than 3 months into a hunger strike that could take what is left of his life. His is a voice the Egyptian authorities clearly want to silence.
Ali is my older brother. He's a writer, he's a software developer. He's always interested in empowering people with tools to self-express and to write.
مطلوب مننا فقط أننا نصر
Our only duty. Wait a minute. We're gonna go back for a bit.
Empowering people with tools to self-express and to write.
Our only duty is to keep fighting for the truth. This guy's right. This guy's right. And I stand with him and his family. Because right now they're on a terror list. Ze worden per media wordt helemaal belicht. Zo, ja, die horen bij de moslimbroederschap. Zoiets allemaal. Deze mensen moeten echt vrezen voor hun leven. Dat is hoe het gaat in Egypte. Ja. Laten we even gewoon zien wat er in de wereld gaande is. Ja. Dus we hebben ook verkiezingen gehad in Mombasa, Kenia. Ja, en ja, we gaan even hier naar kijken. Something fishy in Mombasa. Mombasa, Kenya. Let's see, Kenya. There you go, Kenya. So, let's see what's happening over there. Inform Action Kenya is a YouTube channel, especially for Kenya, right? So this is where you find your news when you're talking about Kenya. This happened 14th of April, 2022.
Wananchi mko wapi? Mko wapi? Nini kinaendelea humo ndani? Wamama wametoka tangia saa 11 asubuhi nyumbani. Tatizo liko wapi? Tatizo letu hapa ni kwamba
Our problem is that we woke up early to come and vote.
Rauka mali hapa tuna kura zetu za Kasandani. Tukiingia humo ndani tunaambiwa.
But inside we're told to look for our names under the letter MBO.
Majina tuangalie ni MBO. MBO ni nini?
What is MBO?
Sisi tunajua ni mtu na kura yake.
All we know are we should be able to vote. I'm a UDA member. So this is what's happening over there, right? People are missing names and at the party register. So something fishy's going on. Yeah, something fishy going on. You're not allowed to talk about the American elections. So, yeah, let's talk about Kenya. Huh? Let's talk about the elections there. Something fishy going on. Ja, mensen, we houden ons mond niet. We kijken naar de rest van de wereld. Ja? En niet alleen Amerika. Not only America and Canada are on top of the world. Nope, you are part of the world. Don't forget that. Yeah. So we're all fighting for our countries, basically. So you have the farmers' protests in the Netherlands, right? The Germans are helping the Dutch farmers. You also have a farmers' protest in Italy. There you have Italy. You also have a farmers' protest in Poland, right? You also have a very big protest in North Macedonia. There you go, North Macedonia. And that's because the people in power want to be part of the EU. Yeah, and the population does not want that. So there you have a big uprising. and Albania is still quiet, but rumors of uprising are also in Albania because people don't want to sell out their country to the EU, right? Dus dat is hoe het gaat, mensen. Dat is hoe het gaat. Ja. Er valt nog genoeg te zeggen over de rest van de wereld. We houden een oogje in het zeil bij RHTVLive. En we gaan er ook dieper op in. Op wat er allemaal gebeurt. Ja. Dus we begonnen de uitzending met Sri Lanka. En we sluiten ook af met Sri Lanka. Ja, mensen. We houden de wereld in de gaten. Ja. En wij zijn aan zet. Ja, niet hun, maar wij. We are in power. It's our turn. Not their turn. Not the people in power. Nope, it's our turn. So we're going to take the freedoms that we gave away to our government back. Dat gaan we doen, mensen. Ja. Het is een lange strijd, lange adem, maar we komen er wel. Tijd van ontwaken is aangebroken. Goed, we gaan er weer vandoor. Even kijken nog naar de chat. Goedenavond Erik, Nelly, Bas, dankjewel voor het delen. Er worden toch blanke boeren vermoord om ze weg te krijgen in Afrika. Ja, dat klopt. Dan heb je het over Zuid-Afrika. Ja, we have a kijkersvraag. Someone who's asking a question about Africa, about the farmers in Africa. And we're talking about South Africa here. You actually had a president that wanted to kill all the farmers. Dus je hebt dus een president, Zuma. Laten we dat ook even zien. Do not forget this, the Beirut explosion. Zuma killed the boer. So this is a president that sings kill the farmer, right? So history is repeating itself, as we saw, Rome burning, and over here in South Africa, we see the same as basically what happened in Zimbabwe, right? Over there during the 80s, you had the same uprising against the white farmers. Ja, en dat gebeurt, mensen, dat gebeurt. We sluiten ook af met Zuma.
Amanda! Awe tu! Ozan sondelani ninenwinileyo. Sizobadubula ngembamba bazobaleka tu. Sizobadubula ngembamba bazobaleka tu. Kulipul sizokushaya uzotuchulwa kulipul sizokushaya uzobaleka tu. Sizobadubula bazobaleka tu. Sizobadubula azobaleka jula ulipuno uzoshaya uzobaleka jula ulipuno sizokushaya uzobaleka jula ikhabhinethi soyijula izobaleka jula ikhabhinethi soyijula izobaleka jula ulipuno sizokushaya uzobaleka.
These people have to learn that there's only one race, the human race, right? These people have to learn that they don't have power over other people. We have our own power. We as a collective have to learn that we don't have to follow a Bible or believe in a God. We are the gods. We created. Dus, we gaan afsluiten. Doei. En dank voor het kijken, dank voor het delen. En tot de volgende keer maar weer.